Hi, scary lovers. I hope you enjoy today's story. Please like and subscribe if you're into scary stories like me. A Night of Terror. The night was unusually quiet in the small town of Eldridge. Streetlights flickered, casting long shadows that danced across the cracked pavement. Sarah had just returned home from her late shift at the diner, exhaustion weighing heavily on her. As she stepped inside, the familiar creak of the old wooden door sent a chill down her spine. She locked the door behind her, but a nagging feeling lingered in the air. Outside, the wind howled, but it was the distant sound of moaning that truly unsettled her. At first, she brushed it off as her imagination. She settled onto the couch, trying to shake the unease. Suddenly, her phone buzzed with an emergency alert. Evacuate immediately. Containment breach at the local lab. Do not engage. In the outskirts of Eldridge, a research facility known as Helix Labs had long been shrouded in secrecy. Funded by a combination of government grants and private investors, the lab was dedicated to advanced biomedical research, particularly in genetics and virology. Rumors swirled around the facility, whispers of experiments gone awry and ethical lines crossed. Nobody knew it before, but there was a big problem in this lab. The night before, a team of scientists was conducting a trial on a new serum designed to enhance human resilience to diseases. However, during the experiment, a containment failure occurred. A faulty security system allowed a highly infectious pathogen, previously contained in a secure chamber, to escape. Panic ensued as researchers tried to contain the outbreak, but the serum had unintended side effects, reanimating the recently deceased and turning them into violent, ravenous creatures. As the situation escalated, the lab went into lockdown, but it was too late. The infection spread rapidly, affecting the staff and eventually breaking through the facility's defenses. By the time local authorities were alerted, the lab was overrun, and the first waves of zombies were spilling out into the surrounding area. Desperate to contain the chaos, the government issued emergency alerts, instructing residents to evacuate. But the messages were often too late, leaving many, like Sarah, to confront the nightmare unleashed on their quiet town. With the streets overrun and no help in sight, survivors had to rely on their instincts and courage to navigate the horrors of a world turned upside down. Panic surged through Sarah. She glanced out the window and gasped. Shadows moved in the street, figures stumbling, their limbs twisted and unnatural. Zombies. Heart racing, Sarah grabbed her keys and darted to the back door. She knew she had to get to her car. As she stepped outside, the cool air bit at her skin. The moans grew louder, echoing through the night. She sprinted down the driveway, but a chilling sight froze her in place. A group of zombies emerged from the shadows, their faces pale and lifeless, eyes sunken and hungry. One lunged toward her, arms outstretched, teeth bared. Sarah turned and ran, her breath quickening. She zigzagged through the yard, desperate to evade their grasp. The familiar streets now felt like a maze of terror. Her heart pounded in her ears as she made for the main road, hoping to find help. Suddenly, she heard shuffling behind her. The creatures were relentless. She stumbled, falling to the ground, the rough asphalt scraping her knees. As she scrambled to her feet, she glanced back. There were too many. Panic threatened to overwhelm her. Just as she reached the road, a car sped by, headlights piercing the darkness. She waved frantically, but it didn't stop. In that moment, she felt utterly alone. With no other choice, Sarah sprinted toward the nearest building, a gas station. She burst through the door, slamming it behind her and barricading it with whatever she could find. Her breath came in sharp gasps as she leaned against the counter, trying to collect herself. But the moans grew closer, pounding against the door like a sinister drumbeat. The glass windows rattled, and she could see their silhouettes outside, clawing at the entrance. Desperation surged within her. She needed a plan. In the corner, she spotted a baseball bat. Grabbing it, she steadied her breath, knowing she had to fight for her life. As the door buckled under the weight of the horde, she steeled herself. The door burst open, and the first zombie stumbled inside. Sarah swung the bat with all her might, connecting with a sickening thud. It fell, but the others pressed in, a wave of hunger and decay. She fought fiercely, but the numbers were overwhelming. Just as darkness threatened to close in around her, she remembered the back exit. With a surge of determination, she darted through the chaos, the bat swinging wildly. The night was far from over, and the fight for survival had only just begun. Heart pounding, Sarah burst through the back exit of the gas station, gasping for air. The night was darker than ever, but the distant glow of streetlights beckoned her forward. She could hear the chaotic moans of the undead behind her, echoing through the night, urging her to move faster. Outside, the night was alive with horror, but as she ran, a flicker of hope ignited within her. If she could make it to the high school, maybe she could find other survivors. She sprinted toward the distant lights, ready to face whatever awaited her. Navigating through the maze of alleyways, she fought to keep her panic in check. The once familiar streets now felt like a labyrinth of terror. She sprinted toward the high school, hoping to find refuge among others who might have survived. As she reached the intersection, she stopped dead in her tracks. A group of zombies was huddled near an overturned car, their grotesque figures silhouetted against the flickering streetlight. She ducked behind a nearby dumpster, her heart racing as she weighed her options. Thinking quickly, Sarah scanned the area for a way around. To her left, a narrow path led through the bushes, connecting to the schoolyard. It wouldn't be easy, but she had to try. She took a deep breath, then darted down the path, moving silently among the underbrush. As she neared the school, a flicker of hope sparked within her. The tall fences surrounding the property could provide a barrier against the horde. She climbed over a low section, landing quietly on the other side. The school was dark, but she could see the faint outlines of windows where lights still flickered. Pushing through a side door, she found herself in the dimly lit hallway. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the building settling. Sarah stepped carefully, her senses heightened, listening for any signs of life or danger. "Hello?" she whispered, her voice barely breaking the tension. No response. She moved deeper into the school, hoping to find a classroom where others might be hiding. As she entered the main hallway, she spotted a group of students huddled together in a science lab. Relief washed over her. They looked just as frightened as she felt. She knocked on the door, and a familiar face, Jake, peeked through the glass. "Sarah!" he exclaimed, opening the door just wide enough to let her in. "We thought we were the only ones left. What happened?" she asked, scanning the room. The students had barricaded the door with desks and chairs. "Containment breach at the lab. We heard it on the news before everything went dark. We've been trying to stay quiet," Jake explained, glancing nervously at the windows. They shared their stories, each recounting their narrow escapes. Sarah felt a sense of camaraderie form among them, but the weight of their situation pressed heavily. They were trapped, with the undead lurking just outside. "Do you think we can make it to the gym?" Sarah asked. "There's a large space there. Maybe we can fortify it." Jake nodded, looking around at the others. "It's risky, but we can't stay here forever. We need to find supplies too." The group nodded in agreement, a mix of fear and determination on their faces. They gathered what they could find: backpacks, water bottles, and anything that could serve as a weapon. With their makeshift gear ready, they prepared to move. Sarah took the lead, heart pounding as they crept down the hallway, every creak of the floorboards amplifying the tension. As they reached the gym door, a loud crash echoed from the entrance of the school. They froze, exchanging terrified glances. The undead had found their way inside. "Now or never," Sarah whispered, pushing open the gym door. The large space felt like a sanctuary, but they knew it wouldn't last. They quickly moved to barricade the doors as the sounds of groans filled the hallways. Sarah gripped the baseball bat tightly. The fight for survival was far from over, and they had to prepare for whatever horrors awaited them in the night. As the gym doors rattled under the weight of the undead, Sarah and the others quickly pushed several heavy gym mats and benches against them, their hearts racing. The sound of the moaning grew louder, mingling with the scraping of fingers against metal. "Stay quiet," Sarah urged, glancing around at her newfound companions. Jake, Mia, and a few other students nodded, their faces pale but resolute. They huddled together near the bleachers, whispering strategies. We can't just wait here, Mia said, her voice shaking. We need a plan. Agreed, Sarah said. If we can get to the supply closet near the main office, we might find more weapons or food. Jake peered through a small window in the gym door, his expression grim. I see at least 3 of them out there. We'll need a distraction. What if we make noise in the other wing? Suggested Mia. It might lure them away. Good idea, Sarah replied. We can create a sound. Maybe knock something over in the hallway. They decided on a plan. Jake and Mia would create the distraction while Sarah and another student, Alex, prepared to slip out and head for the supply closet. On 3, Sarah whispered, adrenaline coursing through her veins. 1, 2, 3. Jake and Mia rushed to the door, banging a metal chair against the floor to create a loud clatter. The sound echoed through the school, drawing the zombies' attention. The moans intensified as the creatures shifted toward the noise. Now, Sarah shouted, and she, Alex, and the others slipped out the gym door, moving swiftly and silently. The hallway was dimly lit, and shadows danced across the walls. Sarah led the way, her heart racing as they approached the office. She could hear the commotion from the gym behind them, hoping Jake and Mia would be safe. Reaching the supply closet, Sarah pushed the door open, revealing a chaotic assortment of supplies. She quickly scanned the shelves, grabbing flashlights, first aid kits, and whatever food they could find. Quick, we need to go, Alex urged, glancing nervously at the hallway. Just then, a loud crash reverberated from the gym, followed by a chilling silence. Sarah's stomach dropped. She felt the urgency swell as they hurried to gather the last few supplies. Let's get back before it's too late, Sarah said, leading the way back toward the gym. As they moved, the faint sounds of shuffling grew closer. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the end of the hall, one of the zombies, stumbling toward them. Sarah raised her bat, ready to defend herself. But before she could react, a second zombie appeared, and then a third. Run! She yelled, and they sprinted back toward the gym, the sound of their footsteps echoing as they dashed. Inside, the situation had turned chaotic. The barricade was partially breached, and Jake and Mia were desperately trying to hold back the onslaught. Help us! Jake shouted, fighting off a zombie that had broken through. Sarah and Alex rushed to their side, swinging their makeshift weapons and pushing the undead back. Get the mats, Sarah cried. We need to seal the door again. Together, they fought fiercely, adrenaline fueling their movements. With a final push, they managed to force the remaining zombies back and reinforce the barricade. Breathing heavily, the group gathered in a corner of the gym, exchanging frantic glances. What now? Mia asked, her voice trembling. We need to find another way out, Sarah said, her mind racing. The roof. There might be an access hatch in the gym. We can escape and get to the parking lot. Let's move, Jake urged, and they headed toward the storage area at the back of the gym. They found the ladder leading to the roof access, but the sounds of moaning grew louder outside the gym door. Time was running out. Sarah climbed first, helping the others up as they scrambled to escape. Once on the roof, the cool night air hit them, a stark contrast to the chaos below. The town spread out beneath them, bathed in the eerie glow of streetlights. But the streets were swarming with zombies, their silhouettes moving restlessly. We need to find a safe way down, Sarah said, scanning the area. She spotted a fire escape at the side of the building. There, we can climb down there. The group carefully made their way to the edge of the roof, adrenaline coursing through them. As they descended, they could hear the faint sounds of moans drifting up toward them. Reaching the ground, they landed silently in the alley. The path to the parking lot lay ahead, but shadows lurked around every corner. Stick together, Sarah whispered, leading the way. They moved cautiously, hearts pounding, praying they wouldn't be spotted. As they neared the lot, a loud crash echoed nearby, A car alarm blared, drawing the attention of the zombies. "Run!" Alex shouted, and they sprinted toward her car, which was parked a few spaces away. They reached the vehicle just as the horde turned in their direction, the undead now fully aware of their presence. With shaking hands, Alex fumbled to unlock the door. "Get in!" she yelled, panic rising. They piled into the car just as the first zombie reached them, its fingers clawing at the window. With a deep breath, Alex turned the key in the ignition. The engine roared to life, and she slammed the car into gear, speeding out of the lot as the zombies stumbled after them. As they tore down the empty streets, the reality of their escape began to sink in. They had survived the night, but the fight was far from over. "Where do we go now?" Jake asked, breathless. "Anywhere but here," Sarah replied, gripping the wheel tightly. "We need to find other survivors and figure out how to fight back." With the weight of the night behind them and uncertainty ahead, they drove into the darkness, determined to find hope in a world overrun by horror. I hope you enjoyed this story. Let me know down below if you would like me to continue this storyline. Please like and subscribe if you're into scary stories like me. Stay safe, and I'll be back tomorrow.